What happened to Derrick Rose? Derrick Rose was supposed to be one of the greatest players of his generation. At just 22 years old, he became the youngest MVP in NBA history. He was explosive, fearless, and almost impossible to stop. But just 1 year later, everything changed. So what happened to Derrick Rose? Derrick Rose was one of the most hyped up prospects in high school. He played at Memphis for 1 year and then was drafted in 2008 to the Chicago Bulls with the first overall pick. He immediately became the face of his hometown team. He won Rookie of the Year, became an All-Star, and quickly became one of the NBA's brightest young stars. But he was only getting started. In 2010 to 2011, Rose took another huge leap. He averaged 25 points and 8 assists and led the Bulls to a league-best 62-20 record. He was one of the most explosive players in the league and could get to the basket almost whenever he wanted. At just 22 years old, Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP in NBA history. It looks like the beginning of a legendary career. Then everything changed. April 28, 2012. The Bulls were playing the Sixers in the playoffs. Rose drove to the basket, planted his left leg, and went down. He had torn his ACL. The injury ended his season and kept him out for the entire following season. For a player who relied so much on explosiveness, everything had changed. As you can see in the footage, he is in pain with only 1 minute left in the clock. Rose should have been out of the game way earlier than that. One bad coaching change, and everything changed. Rose returned in the 2013-14 season, but after only 10 games, another knee injury ended his season. More injuries followed, more surgeries, and eventually, his time in Chicago came to an end. In 2016, Rose was traded to the New York Knicks. The MVP was gone. Now, he was trying to rebuild his career. Rose continued to play for New York, Cleveland Cavaliers, Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Detroit Pistons. He wasn't the same explosive superstar anymore. Instead, he became a veteran scorer who relied more on his skilled experience. Then, in 2018, Rose reminded everyone what he can still do. He scored 50 points on the Timberwolves. This was so emotional for him. After bouncing around the league, he played for the Bulls, the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Timberwolves, the Pistons, and the Grizzlies for his 15-season NBA career. This was a big moment for him. After bouncing around the league, he finally found a home. At least that's what I thought after that big game. Rose continued his career with Detroit, New York, and Memphis. After 16 NBA seasons, he announced his retirement in 2024. He never became the player many expected him to become, but he still built a career worth remembering. So what happened to Derrick Rose? His injuries changed his career forever. We'll never know how great he could have been if he stayed healthy, but he never stopped coming back. He may have lost his prime, but he never lost himself.